Hello everyone and welcome back to Morning Shot. As we all know on this channel, we quite like communities, doing it together to fix their, communities because the national government doesn't really know how to do so. Today we are talking to Tidy Towns. Tidy Towns is an organization that wants to do exactly this roughly in Durban South. So with us is Stephen. Stephen, hello, welcome to Morning Shot.
Morning, guys.
So Stephen, there is excuse me. So, Stephen, there is a documentary out that we're going to link down below. Byron and I both watched it. We both love what you're doing. Where on earth does the term and idea for tidy towns actually come from?
So it was actually an idea born by Reg Horn, a retired guy that moved down here a few years ago. And he had a look at what was going on at St. Michael's Beach. So St. Michael's Beach was the very first pilot beach that this all kicked off. And it was because of the behavior of beachgoers and people from out of town and the way they were drinking in public and carrying on and then throwing bottles. And we had broken bottles on the on our parking areas and that. So he just saw a need to stand up and get like-minded people together, which he did. And he called a meeting, and that's where it all started, eh?
Byron?
Yep.
Have you got another question?
It's just a bit delayed on the feed, Ramon.
Yeah, no, I know that. But it records through, not to stress.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so obviously I watched your documentary, and it's very interesting. There's a couple of actual key points in there I actually thought that you could flesh out and talk to us about. So one of the things that is said in the documentary is that whilst the town is going into decay, the beach is still there and is still beautiful. And so what you want is you want people to come back to your town. The other thing you said is, well, we either fix the town or we immigrate. So there seems to be a degree of anti-immigration through your message in keeping your own community in your own town going. Tell me a bit about that, if you don't mind.
So, Byron, it's very easy. You can either be a part of the solution or you can leave to greener pastures, which is obviously the easier of the two. However, I grew up here, so 31 years in a beautiful place where I've seen it be at its prime and I've seen it go through what I call local social decay. And I'm a part of the reinstatement of this beauty. And, tidy towns is a funny concept. It's such a simple thing. And one of the key words is KISS, and it's been used around the world quite often. And it's keep it simple, stupid. So it's the small things, when Reg and I got together and we initially met with the law enforcement guys, because that's where we really started, and we told them what we wanted to do and that we needed their help. We got buy-in from them. So Safisa Nkaku, he is chief of the local law enforcement over here, and we told him what he wanted, and he wanted exactly the same for his son, who's also growing up over here, So, you got to isolate the idea of just leaving it for other people to actually get on and do it. There are so many good people out there, guys, that if we all hold hands and we work together, the problem in South Africa is we kind of leave it up to this idea that government needs to do their job. Well, they haven't, and they're not going to, and they don't have the resources to. So we need to, as civic, as like a civic pride, come together, work together, and together we can do so much more, which is another slogan and phrase that we use. And we've proved it here on the South Coast. So if you go to our Facebook page, Tiny Town, Shelley Beach to Margate, you'll actually see right from the inception that we have brought in all walks of life, every single ethnic background. And, the one common denominator that we have is it's good versus evil. That's what it really is. It's the good people versus the people that want to dirty, get drunk, break down things, and that's as easy as that. And if I take you through the whole thing, so when we started at St. Michael's, we had 11 car guards. Let's call them car guards. Now remember, to be a car guard in South Africa, you need a Pasira registration. So you can't just decide one day, oh no, you're going to be a car guard. Because if something happens to you, you're not trained, you're putting yourself in danger. So at St. Michael's Beach, those so-called car guards were also the local distributors of drugs. So they were also the car washers. So we interviewed these 11. Now, Reg Horn's background and Joffrey Hanaway's background was law enforcement, was security. So they come from a security background. Joffrey being an ex-co-director of Mason Security, which is a privately owned security company on the coast. And Reg owns Whistleblowers International and Justicia Investigations. So, you know, these are well-rehearsed guys with this sort of thing. And they did an interview with him, with these 11 operators at St. Michael's Beach. And out of the 11, these guys were all murderers, sex offenders, housebreakers. All of them were in for something, whether it's petty or not. Eventually, we narrowed it down and we actually found 6 out of the 11 that were willing to cooperate. And we explained to them, guys, what do you earn? Why are you sleeping in the bushes? Why aren't you going back to your homes? And it was quite easy. And this is what we need to do as a society. You need to find out the cause. Once you know the cause, then you can put a plan together to rectify and fix the problem. The cause was, out of season, these guys were earning between 10 and 30 Rand a day. They had to decide between a taxi ride home for 30 Rand, or do they stay in the bush and go buy food? Now, any human being will say, you're going to stay in the bush and you're going to go. So what we said is, guys, we've got a foolproof plan. We will put a tips book at the local restaurant, Sea Barley, and Marcus Bench, the owner of Sea Barley, I think you saw him on the documentary that you watched. He's vested, he's involved, he's done so much for that beach. And that's where it all started. So we went back to basics. We said, guys, let's play soccer, 50-50. We don't want to chase you away. We want to give you something to be proud of. And we said, right, in the morning from 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock, you give us your time. We're going to give you spades, we're going to give you wheelbarrows, we're going to give you things, and we're going to do the basics. So what we did is we started with the real basics, guys. It sounds so stupid, eh? We started cutting the lawn of our beaches. We started edging the paving. We started to take the overgrown grass back. Our benches we paved around, and we created this neatness. And this is where my slogan, clean makes clean, comes from. If you have people that see a clean beach, that see dustbins that are being serviced, they are more likely to put rubbish in that bin than drop it next to their car, because they're going to feel out. So that's that good and bad aspect again. They don't want to be humiliated. No person likes to be humiliated. So we started with that, and you won't believe it. Within the first 2-3 weeks, we were getting comments on our page. Guys, we can't believe the difference at St. Michael's by doing the basics. So there was a yearning for this upgrade, this let's take our town back. And the problem that we found is that it was actually out-of-towners that were really breaking down our areas and using it as like a jaw every single weekend. So these guys went from earning 30 Rand a day out of season to averaging 150 Rand a day. And on top of that, the tips that were left at Sea Barley were being split amongst them. So we as tidy towns didn't take any of the money as the founders, or what we call we're the drivers. So we're not known as CEOs and directors, we are the drivers at a beach. So each beach has got a driver. Marcus and Reg are the 2 drivers at St. Michael's. Uvongo Beach has got Reg and Joe Ellen and Joffrey. And then Lucian and Margate Beach has got myself and Scott Carswell. And then Shelley Beach is Chris Corsten. So we started out there. From there was this massive call. Okay, guys, well, you've done that. You've renovated St. Michael's. We put in new pipes, guys. We did new pipes. We renovated the tidal pool. This is all out of donations and people's expertise that work together with us. And this is where tidy towns are so powerful and so beautiful. If you are a vested businessman in an area, especially in our area, because we've only got one industry, and that industry is tourism, you can't help but want to get involved and leave a better tomorrow for your children. So I grew up going to Margate Primary, and I can tell you now, Margate was the best holiday destination probably in South Africa. It was one of the most well-known, it was affordable, and our beaches are still the very best, bar none, in South Africa. I've travelled Mexico, I've been to the Maldives, I've been everywhere, guys, and I can tell you right now, we've still got the best beaches, the best climate at an average temperature throughout the year of 17 degrees, and the warmest water. So, I mean, we've got everything going for us.
Those are fighting words. Those are fighting words. If you speak to Byron, Jeffreys Bay is the way to go. Margate, not
Where's
even
Jeffrey's
close.
Bay?
In the Eastern Cape.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
so these are some of the things. And then when we got pulled into the next beach, it was Shelley Beach. And then we had a different element. We had real drug sales and dealers and sex workers all congregating down at the ski boat base, Shelley Beach ski boat base. And we went in there with a dog unit. We went in there with law enforcement, with SAPS, Port Shepstone. And we took 22 vagrants in one morning out of the bush. We removed out of that same bush. And if you go back to Tiny Town, Shelley Beach to Margate Facebook page, right to the beginning, you'll see all these photos. We pulled out 5 8-ton drop side truckloads of rubbish and refuse.
Wow.
Hidden away.
just to interject there, so I have actually done law enforcement. I am actually a law enforcement officer, and I have actually been to those bushes in those areas and pulled people out. So I know it's very surprising to the average individual when you drive past them, especially beach bushes, and you look at the individuals. You generally tend to think, well, there's nothing in the bush, except when you actually get in the bush. There's some serious movement going on there. You know, people living under the undergrowth and making little tents and places. And it's funny because sometimes you actually see it at night, right? I mean, you can see like the little fire underneath the bush, and you like
100%.
you sometimes wonder like if that spreads, like you got massive problems for all the houses there. But hey, give them one thing, at least it doesn't seem to spread most of the time. So yeah, I sympathize with everything you're saying there. The one thing I'm curious on is you said, to quote you, you said you did this so that people didn't leave to greener pastures and an easier life. But it's our contention, Ramon and mine, that sometimes it's not greener pastures and it's actually not a better life. A lot of people think they're going over to something better, but us both having traveled, and I lived abroad for a very long time, we don't generally actually think that the quality of life in some other countries is actually better. Now, you rightly point out, Margate is historically known for its beaches and its holiday town. So in terms of regeneration in your town, all the initiatives, what has it done in terms of tourism for your town? Is there a noticeable increase or improvement in tourism?
So, Byron, yeah, thank you. You see, this is where the goosebumps start. So in 18 months, this year we were the KZN Town of the Year for Kwela, Cape Nets, Dorp van die Jaar. And we went into the finals. And if I can tell you, if you go into our social media page, and you guys are social guys with social media, so you'll know, in 18 months to amass 17,000 followers is no small feat. Add to that, we have opened up Tidy Towns Port Shepstone, Tidy Towns Sea Park to Banana Beach, Tidy Towns Pennington, Tidy Towns Amanzimtoti, Glen Ashley, Coxstad. We have now got Tidy Towns Glenmore Beach. Tidy Towns Port Shepstone Port Edward is in the pipeline. And just last week I did a talk to the Buffalo City municipal guys, as well as some guys that were down here on a surf event that we hosted. And they were actually, I had to talk to the whole municipality, all the heads of departments, and we are setting up a Tiny Towns, Buffalo City, Nahoon Reef, Ganubi, and I can't remember the third one. There's another beach over there. So when you ask me what is the positive feedback been, 100-fold. People are getting involved. When I started out in Margate, and I'm going to go to Margate now, I'm going to just give you some background. So let's do Margate, because Uvongo is a gem on its own. As you know, it's got a waterfall, it's got a pier, it's got one of the best surf beaches, it's got a tidal pool, it's got a baby pool. That's world class. You very seldom get that. But when you go to what I call the Eiffel Tower of the South Coast, which is Margate, you've got an Olympic pool, you've got a tidal pool, you've got a north and south beach, and our north beach was a blue flag beach, which I'll get to just now. You've also got a baby pool that we all grew up with. You've got a host of restaurants. You've got probably one of the best fishing piers in the country as Margate Fishing Pier. And when you take all of that, it really is an Eiffel Tower. Add to that all of the body corporates coming on board, and where they in the past would say, well, we're paying rates, we're not going to cut the front of our buildings or our verges. Well, now they are. If I tell you we don't have one car guard in Margate 18 months later, not one car guard in Margate town operates because we do not allow it. Because the town has we've taken as a community our town back. And there's few of us that really, really every single day push on the CPF groups with law enforcement, and it's becoming a norm where clean makes clean. Clean attracts clean. And that's what we're seeing. If you go and have a look at my video today that I uploaded, you can take a drive with me through Margate basically, and you'll see my sidewalks. We even go as far as where the curb meets the tar, we edge that. So we get rid of all weeds and little bits and bobs. So going back to it, has it made a difference? Massive. People walk through Margate, people on Margate Beach. And then we have the things that we can't do anything about. And, you know, it's all good to sit here and talk about the pros. Well, here's the cons. We've been battling with sewage like every other town in the in South Africa, and it's killing us. We can do as much as we like, but until our local municipality, Ugu, come to the party and really make an effort like they have now, there's a 180 million rand sewer upgrade for Margate, which is unbelievable. There's a new re-tarring or surface tarring that's coming through, which has already started in Margate, which is going to be from Port Shepstone right the way to Southbourne. That's unbelievable. We haven't had that in 25 years. So maybe we have been the spark that has said, well, guys, now the limelight's on us, we're going to have to put back into this community. Because that's how it feels. Because why is it all of a sudden starting to come together? I mean, we're due for a promenade upgrade, in my opinion. We haven't had one in 25 years.
So, Stephen, watching your video, you make a very important point in the Tidy Towns video about including the local law enforcement and the municipality as much as possible. So we've been to, for example, we did a documentary on Orania, and Orania is very clearly not interested in sort of cooperating with any structure of the state. They want to do everything themselves, and it seems to be working for them very, very well. We were actually rather impressed. Down there, the Tidy Town scenario seems to be like, let's all coalesce, all the centers of power coalesce to get this outcome that we all want together. So when you speak to municipal workers or municipal managers in your area, what are their views on what you are doing? Are you taking over from them and they feel worried about that? Or do they actually welcome you and say, are you making my job so much easier?
Roman, very, very good question. You know, I can't comment on Orania. I've got friends that have actually invested in Orania. It's a completely different concept where there you do it for yourself. And I understand that. And you know what? What a wonderful concept. There was a gap in the constitution which allowed for it. Good for them. I don't want to live in Orania. And not many people want to. I don't want to be landlocked. I want to be on the ocean and enjoy a coastal living. And to do that, I have to work with those that have got the authority and the power to give us the authority to do things. Now, I'm going to give you a very simple project that we did. So we had one of our main roads going up towards our Margate police station. So it's a main road. I think it's called the R61, if I'm not mistaken. And we had major rains here, and a bank collapsed, and half of the road on the oncoming side was completely washed away. And we were waiting and waiting. Eventually, we went with a team of engineers, civil engineers. Terrell Krishna from Zanzi LDK. He's a civil engineer, does a lot of work for the municipality. He's probably one of my best friends, and he is a tidy towner. And he said, you know what, bugger it, let's do it ourselves. And they went to NPC, they went to the people that do the tarring, they got a civil engineer involved, they got an engineer to sign off. And we said to the municipality and the Department of Transport, guys, meet us on site, we're going to tell you what we're going to do, we're going to give you a drawing, we're going to give you a plan. We fixed that road in 2 weeks, from start to finish. Gabions, filtration, curbing, everything, lines painted, the works. Handover, it's on our Facebook page, all donated by the locals. So NPC, which is a corporate, came on board, donated all the stone. So if we can put someone on the moon, guys, there's no, oh, we can't, and no, we can't do this. If you've got people in your communities that are willing to stand up, it's easier to stand up and work with a municipality. Those municipal workers in the beginning, thought that we were coming in and that our volunteers that work for us were going to eventually take their jobs.
Yeah.
That's not what we're here for, guys. What we are here for is we've got one goal, and that's to bring tourism back to the South Coast. Not just Margate, not just Shelley Beach, Uvongo, St. Michael's, from Heberdean right the way to Port Edward. That's our breadbasket. That's where all of us make our money. I'm a businessman. I've got an air conditioning company. I've got a clothing factory. I employ quite a few staff, 140 to be exact. I've got a partner in my clothing business, and we have a vested interest in this town. To give you an idea, at one stage, Tidy Towns across 5 beaches was employing close to 30 people, and they were working 6 days a week. If you take that into consideration, if you take that, we've had about, just this year alone, heavy rain 4 or 5 times, where our beaches are totally covered in debris and floating trees and logs and etc. And guys, we don't sit back the very next day, whether it's rain or not. We are on that beach. We get down there and we go and pull all of that off the beach and we cart it away and we don't look for any excuses. So we get it done. We don't talk. And that's the change. And that's why I think people know that if they come down to the South Coast, they're going to come to a clean beach. They're going to come to an operating beachfront. I mean, there's so much more that I could tell you. It's incredible, actually.
Byron, we're on 20 minutes. Question from you?
Yes. No, I think if we continue to go much longer, and one of the videos is going to end up being too long.
All right. No, that's fair enough. So, Stephen, last question from me then. If someone wants to join Tidy Towns or maybe import the idea of Tidy Towns across the country, do you have something that can help them to this effect?
Absolutely, man. I've done so many Teams meetings with people from all over, from Paul, like I said to you, Buffalo City, man. We're here to help. If we can roll this out, I'm willing to travel if I need to, no charge to anyone. We've got a basic setup plan that we send out to you. You go through it. We can change it for you. We even set up your logo for you. Thank goodness we've got a young lady over here, Kate Lepan, and she's been so magnificent in getting our logos to all our different areas. And we give you tools, you know, and with those tools, we even got merchandise that we landed up selling to generate funds, because without the volunteers are actually the heroes. So rehabilitate, guys, those forgotten people that get 30 Rand and have to choose between staying in a bush or going home. Help them. Find out their story. And that's the beauty of it. So anyone that wants to get a hold of us, can contact me on my cell phone number, 082 453 1133, or info@tidytowns.co.za. Go on our Facebook page, send a message via Facebook. We're here to help. If we can continue this throughout the country, I really believe that if you have what we call pockets of excellence, man, it just manifests. Just out of what we're doing, we've got what we call the Boogie Babes. It was a bunch of old ladies, over 70-year-olds, that have been cleaning up along our Lily Krona beachfront for the last 7 years with no recognition, no acknowledgement, and our local security company, Wolf, has been assisting them. So there's already those heroes there, you know, you got to join them. Our bank account is linked to the round table, Margate 46ers. And let me tell you, without them, we wouldn't have had the platform to do it. We didn't want to get into the whole thing of creating a PTY, and we didn't do it to generate money. We did it so we can create a vibe on the South Coast where people actually want to get in. And now we've got a Verge challenge where we challenge everyone before the next season to clean their verges, clean in front of their businesses. And if you're going to give someone a service on the South Coast, do it as if you're signing your name to it, man, because those people are going to talk and they're going to say, you know what, we had such a good experience there on the South Coast. Go and have a look what Tidy Towns is doing. And we work with NPOs all the time. We've even joined, we've had talks with the Litter Boom Project, and we're trying to find common ground where we can work together to clean our rivers on the coast. Blue flag statuses that we're busy with. St. Michael's is a pilot status at the moment. I think we're about 5 months away from that becoming a permanent blue flag status, and that is on the back of Tidy Towns and the municipality working together. So guys, whoever wants to come and get involved, I think it's the best thing that I've been involved with. And I've been involved with quite a few committees over the past, but this is by far the best committee or best thing that I've ever been involved with. It's really selfless.
Perfect, perfect. So if anyone wants to contact Stephen, everything is linked down in the description. Stephen, thank you so much for your time and explaining to us how it works. And all I can say is congratulations. It looks like it's a
Thank you.
wildly successful thing. And between all of us here at Morning Shot, decentralized civic nationalism certainly seems to be the way to go. So well done. And thank you for joining
Thank you
us.
very much. Yeah, awesome. Thank you
Thanks
for
very
having me,
much.
guys. Have a lovely day, and thank you again.
Thanks
Thank
very
you,
much.
sir. We'll
Cool.
speak
Cheers.
soon. Cheers, cheers.